Okay, so as I said, we are going to be finishing up this, foldable from last week. So remember, we did the top part of it, we're gonna be doing the bottom part, and then we're gonna slide over, do these. Sorry, slide over, do the remaining questions down here, and then there are some questions that are gonna be on Canvas that we are gonna do together, but you are going to struggle a little bit on your own with a partner, or I might just have you guys work in groups today that you're sitting with, just because we're time constraints mainly. All right, you can get out a different color if you would like, when you're, so you can draw your graphs. And if you want to get out a highlighter, you can do that as well. All right, so when you solve inequalities, it's very much like solving, equations. So you have to do the opposite of the operation that is up here, and you have to do it to both sides. So think of the inequality symbol as an equal sign, okay? And if you can think of it that way, then it should be, like I said, just like solving equations. All right, so the first one says x plus 2 is less than 6. So what do you think we have to do here? Based off of what you see, what do you think we have to do to get that x by itself, to figure out what x could equal? Andrew, what do you think? Nope, nope, you're doing too much. We're not doing anything down here. We are simply looking at this. Think of this as x plus 2 equals 6. So if I wanted to solve this inequality and figure out what that x equals, what would I do if that was an equation? No, guys, I'm not asking for an answer. What am I going to do with x plus 2 is less than 6? What am I doing on this side of my inequality? What am I doing, Joe?
6 minus 2.
No. We're getting closer though. We are getting closer. What am I gonna do? Alex?
So 2 plus x.
No. Stop, y'all. What is the opposite of addition?
Correct.
That's what we're gonna do. We are gonna subtract 2 from one side, and we're gonna subtract 2 from the other side. Did y'all give me a 4 and plus 2 and 6? And yeah, but that's not what I want. I don't want you to automatically jump, because where we're going today, you can't just automatically jump. You have to understand the steps of it. So you subtract 2 here, because you're doing the opposite of the operation in your problem. You subtract 2 from this side. So x is less than 4. So if I wanted to check to make sure I did this correctly, I would plug in 4 plus 2 is less than 6. Is that true? Is that a true statement? So what's 4 plus 2? Elizabeth?
6.
Is 6 less than 6? No, 6 is equal to 6. So based off of this inequality, could I say that any number less than 4 would make the statement true? Yes or no? So try it. So someone give me a number less than 4. Negative 3. So negative 3 plus 2, which negative 3 plus 2, so that's going to give me a negative 1, is less than 6. Is that true? That is a true statement. Someone else give me another number that's less than 4. Andrew?
2.
2? So 2 plus 2 is what? 4 is less than 6? Is that true? Yes. So that's what that's saying. So down here when we graph it, so we solved it, and then down here we're going to graph it. Are we going to use an open circle or a closed circle? And if you're not sure, can you close your foldable, and does it tell you what to do? It tells you right there. So open circle, closed circle, rising. Open circle. And is my arrow going to the left or to the right? Going to the left. And like I said, any number to the left will make this statement true. So I'm going to use the example Andrew gave us, the x is less than 2, just because I don't want to deal with negative numbers. So I'm going to plug in 2 plus 2 is less than 6, so 4 is less than 6, and that is a true statement, so therefore I know that I am correct. Are you writing? All right, so looking at the next one, x minus 5 is greater than 1. So what can we do here? Or how do we figure out what x has to be? Or the solution set for x, say it that way. So what do we need to do, Elizabeth? Or, yeah.
The addition.
We're gonna add 5 because it's the opposite of subtract 5, right? So I'm gonna do plus 5 here, cancels, plus 5 there. So x is greater than 6. And how do I know that this statement is true? How do I figure it out? Addie? Can we say that 6 minus 5 is greater than 1? No. Why? Right. So then, Addie, what number would make the statement true? So is 5 greater than 6? All right, so let's go ahead and graph x is greater than 6 and see if that helps us out a little bit. So we're going to find 6. Are we going to do an open or closed circle? Open or closed circle. Indira? Open circle. And then our arrow is going to the left. So any number greater than 6 is going to make this statement true, correct? So therefore, 7 minus 5 is what? 7 minus 5 is what? Callie? Is 2 greater than 1? Yes. All right, so again, I'm just gonna pick a number that is greater than 6, and I'm gonna do 7 minus 5 is greater than 1, 7 minus 5 is 2, is greater than 1. And this is kind of how you check. You know, last week we were just kind of verbally throwing in numbers and making the statement true. Now you kind of actually have to plug in a number to make sure that your numbers are actually making sense and it's making a true statement. All right, so questions about the solving part? Yes, no? No? We feel good about it? Yes? Always. Always do the opposite, no matter what. Multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, always do the opposite. I'm actually going to add that to the bottom, just so we remember. So, in a color that's going to stand out to you a little bit, which I can. At the bottom of your foldable, always do opposite operation. All right, so this next one that we're looking at, we have 2x plus 1 as less than or equal to 11. So this one is a two-step inequality. This is essentially 7th grade stuff. But if you can understand and do this, then you will have no problem with anything else that I throw at you dealing with inequalities. So the first thing you have to do is you have to get rid of the number without the variable. So which number in this example doesn't have a variable that's on the left side of the inequality symbol? The 2x or the plus 1? Lily?
Plus one.
Alright, so Lily, what's the opposite of plus 1?
It would be minus one.
Alright, so we're gonna do minus 1 to start with. That cancels, and then we're gonna do minus 1 over here. Then we're gonna bring down our 2x, our inequality symbol, and our new answer. So 11 minus 1 is 10, and you bring everything else down. So then at this point, what do we do here? 2x is less than or equal to 10. What do we do here? What operation is going on between our 2x? Abby? So what's the opposite of multiplication? So I'm going to divide by 2, that cancels this side, and then I'm gonna do 10 divided by 2, and what is that gonna give me? 10? Alright, so x is less than or equal to 5. So do you see how it's a two-step problem? You can't just do one operation, you have to do 2 operations. Alright, and then from here, x is less than or equal to 5. So if I plugged 5 back into this problem, would it make my statement true? So I'm gonna do this on the board real quick. So if you guys were like, yeah, 5 works. So I'm gonna do 2 times 5 plus 1 is less than or equal to 11. This then becomes what over here? How do we solve this problem? How do we solve this problem, Elizabeth?
Distributive property.
Not distributive, well, I mean, it's distributive property or, let me take this out so I don't have confusion. How do I solve this problem? Brielle?
2 times 5, or is it opposite?
No, guys, stop trying to overthink yourself. How do we solve 2x, or 2 times 5 plus 1? What are we going to use to solve that problem? Sophia? Yes, all you're doing is applying everything that you have learned to a new skill. Like, there's nothing new. So then at this point, we just do what's 2 times 5? You can just call it out.
10.
What's 10 plus 1?
11.
Is 11 less than or equal to 11?
Yes.
Okay, so again, it's just plugging information back in and solving. How do I graph? X is less than or equal to 5. How do I graph that? Lily?
You would relative to 5. It would be a closed circle because it could be less than or equal to, and since it would be less than, it would be going to the left.
Okay. Alright, so someone give me a number other than 5 that we can plug in and check to see if this statement is true. Alright, Joe.
3.
3? Alright, so we're gonna do, see if I can find the room. We're gonna do it down here, because I don't wanna, so our check, we're saying that x equals 3, right? That's what you told us? So I am simply going to plug in 3. So I'm gonna do 2 times 3 plus 1 is less than or equal to 11. So what is 2 times 3? It's 2 times 3, Gabby? So 6 plus 1 is less than or equal to 11. What's 6 plus 1?
7.
7. Is 7 less than or equal to 11? Yes, no? Yes, no? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, no?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
It's awfully quiet in here for y'all to be that sure. Okay, and you can pick any number, 5 or below, to make this statement true. It's not just one answer. So remember, these numbers, 5 and below, are a solution set. Why is it a solution set and not just one specific answer? Addie, what do you think? Right. Perfect. So Addie said because there could be multiple solutions for it, So it's not just one, it's a set of numbers. And your answers are they infinite to the 5 or below? So you can go on forever as long as it's 5 or below. Does that make sense? So like with this one, the one previous to that, we can go on forever as long as it's above 6. Not including 6, but above 6, right? Yes, no? Yes?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
I mean, y'all tell me. You told me that 6 isn't included, so any number above 6 would make that statement true.
Yes.
I just wanna make sure y'all, just wanna make sure. Alright, so the next one, 3x plus 7 is greater than or equal to 19. So how do we, someone tell me how we're gonna go about solving this problem. Alright, Gabby?
So you have to do the opposite operation, which means you're gonna subtract 7 from 7 and negative.
Okay, so that's our first step. So 19 minus 7 is gonna give me 12. I bring down my inequality and I bring down my 3x. Does everybody understand that step? We're good with that one? Okay. Alright, then what do we do, Gabby?
Then, since 3x is multiplication, we're going to divide 1 by 3 and 3x by 3, we get 3x, and then we'll have x is greater than or equal to 4.
Perfect. Alright, and if x is greater than or equal to 4, what is my graph gonna look like? Abby?
On the formula, it's
Bless
just
you.
a closed circle and then you're going to the right.
Okay, and then Abby, give me a number to check this problem. 6. So we're saying x is equal to 6. So I'm going to do 3 times 6 plus 7 is greater than or equal to 19. What is 3 times 6? 3 times 6, 1. So 18 plus 7 is greater than or equal to 19. What is 18 plus 7? Andrew? Is 25 greater than or equal to 19? Yes, no? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, y'all half asleep at 1 minute and then you're with it the other, so I don't know what's going on. How do we feel about solving? Again, if you can do these two, you will have no problem whatsoever on your quiz on Wednesday. Alright, so again, if you can do 2-step equations or 2-step inequalities, that's 7th grade stuff. That's what you're going to do in 7th grade. So if we can kind of get you to really understand it now, it will not be a problem next year. It won't be a problem for your mid-assessment, it won't be a problem for your end assessment. Alright, we're about to see how much we actually understand. Alright, go over to your notebook and we're looking at these problems over here. Alright, so for the x minus 9 is less than negative 4, how do we get x by itself? What do we have to do? Are we doing something with the negative 9 or the negative 4? Andrew? Alright, so what's the opposite of negative 9 or minus 9? So plus 9. So I'm gonna plus 9 here, that's gonna cancel out. I'm going to plus 9 here. And obviously this is why we're doing this together, because negative numbers are not great, they're not fun. So this essentially becomes x is less than 5. Okay? And the reason it's a positive is because your positive number is bigger than your negative number. So you just end up doing subtraction there. Alright, so somebody help me with graphing for this one. Is our inequality going to, sorry y'all. What is our inequality going to look like on our graph? Alright, Sophia. Why is it an open circle? okay? Alright. So let's pick -3. If I wanted to solve this, check it, whatever. So if I'm gonna use the back of my paper. You guys don't have to, oh, there might be room over there. Alright, so if I say -3 minus 9 is less than -4, how would I figure that out? So if you have two negative numbers, remember this number line I drew on the board a while back? So if I'm from here to here, and I have -3, and I'm subtracting 9 from -3, am I going to the right, or am I going to the left of my number line? Okay? I'm going to the left. So I'm gonna subtract 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10, -11, -12. So really, what did I do with 9 and 3? What did I actually do with 9 and 3? Ben? I added them, but I kept them with a negative number. So when you have a negative and you're subtracting a negative, you're actually adding those. But you're keeping it on the negative side. So is -12 less than -4? And how do you know if it is? How do you know? If it isn't, how do you know? So stand up if you think -12 is less than -4. Okay. All right. Bryson?
-12 is farther from 0 than -4.
Yes. Yes. So -12 is further away from 0 than -4, so therefore we know that it is smaller. Good job. All right, so looking at the next one. And not necessarily hard, but it's hard because why? Because there's fractions. All right, so -3/4 plus x is greater than or equal to 2/4. All right, so how do we figure this out? What do we have to do? We have to get x by itself. So how do we get x by itself? What do we do? It doesn't change the process, even though there's a fraction. I'm not asking you to do this, excuse me, on your own. I'm gonna do this with you. But what do we do, ladies and gentlemen? Andrew, what do you think we do? No. Why are we not subtracting 3/4? Why are we not subtracting 3/4? Look at the number, -3/4. What do we have to do? What is the opposite of -3/4, y'all? Andrew? So Andrew, why are we not just adding to get rid of it? Boo-boo, no, don't change nothing. What's the opposite of subtraction?
Addition.
What's the opposite of addition? So boo-boo, if you see a negative, what you gonna do? You're going to add. Doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen, it does not matter. Do not get crazy because you see a fraction and a negative. Doesn't change anything, doesn't change the process, does it? So we're going to add 3/4 to the side and it cancels it out. Then over here, we're going to add 3/4. The denominators are the same, so this is very easy. We're just adding our numerator. So what's 1 plus 3? So this becomes, technically, that becomes 1 whole. So really, this becomes what? So, and again, I don't have enough room on here. So if I do 2 1/4 plus 3/4, this becomes 2 4/4, which really becomes what? 3. So this becomes 3 whole. Alright, So I'm gonna write it over here because like I said, I don't have any room. So x is less than or equal to 3. So what is our number line gonna look like, our graph for this one? What's our graph gonna look like? Bryson? Okay,
Going to the right.
yep. So any number that I plug in there is going to make my answer greater than 2 1/4 as long as it's 3 or above. And we can include 3 because why? Why can we include 3? I get the same people today. Why can I include 3? Callie? Because it's equal to. Very good. All right, looking at the next one. 15x is less than or equal to negative 90. Okay, well, what operation's going on over here? What operation's going on? 15x. What do we know? What operation is going on between the 15 and the x? Caitlin? What operation, huh? What operation is going on between 15x? If you see no operation, it's only 1. So what's the opposite of multiplication? So we're gonna divide by 15 here, and we're going to divide by 15 here. Again, it's got a negative sign, but we're not looking at that negative sign right now. What's 90 divided by 15? 90 divided by 15. 90 divided by 15. If you don't know, can you pull out the problem and do long division on the side? Is that what you should be doing? All right, Cam, what'd you come up with?
So divide that with each other.
90 divided by 15. You want me to wait on you, or you want me to ask somebody else? Okay. All right, Brielle.
6.
All right. And because we were dealing with a negative and a positive, your answer is negative. Okay? So then x is less than or equal to negative 6. What's that going to look like on our number line when we graph it? Sophia? So any number I plug in. So if I plugged in 15 times negative 10, that's going to give me what? Well, what's 15 times 10? 150. So negative 150 is less than or equal to negative 90. Is that a true statement? Is negative 150 less than negative 90? And how do we know that? How do we know that? It's correct. Why are you giving me the no finger? Negative 150 is less than negative 90. Sorry, it's Monday, I get it. How do we know that negative 150 is less than negative 90? Ben?
Because negative 150 is farther away from the 0 than negative.
Negative 90?
Negative 90.
Okay. Yep. All right, moving on to the next one. So you have negative 8 is less than, sorry, negative 8 is greater than or equal to negative 5 plus x. So, Andrew, what are we doing here? We're looking at this side. What are we doing? How do we get x by itself?
We're going to add because it's a negative.
Yes. So I'm going to plus 5, that cancels. I'm going to plus 5 to the negative 8. So here we have a negative 8 and we're adding 5. So I'm going to jump over to my number line. And I'm going to use this color so it stands out. So I have negative 8 and I'm adding 5 to the negative 8. So am I going to the left or am I going to the right? If I'm adding a positive 5. I'm going to go to the right, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that gives me negative 3. So dealing, like adding and subtracting negative numbers, you can use a number line. You just have to understand what the positive and the negative numbers. So this equals -3 is greater than or equal to x. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. And what would that look like on my number line when I graph it? What's that gonna look like when I graph it? Ramon? You're not focused today, and I need you to get focused on. Like, this is not the easiest thing we're doing, so I need you to really be engaged with what we're doing on our paper. Marion?
So, it's gonna be a closed circle on -3.
Okay.
It's gonna be going to the right.
Are you sure? I just wanna make sure. Are you sure? So, any number to the right is gonna keep the statement true. So if I plugged in, let's say 7. So -5 plus 7, that's gonna give me a +2. Is -8 greater than or equal to a +2? Okay, remember guys, look at where your variable is with this one, right? Marion, where's our variable?
On the right.
Right, so actually remember, it flip-flops. So when your variable's on the right, you're actually going in the opposite direction of your inequality symbol. Alright, so we're actually going this way. And that's okay. It's an easy mistake to make, but you have to be very careful with that. Alright, next one. X divided by 6 is less than -1. So what operation is going on in our problem? Callie? So what's the opposite of division? So I'm gonna multiply this by 6, that cancels. I'm gonna multiply -1 by 6. What's 1 times 6? It's 1 times 6, Abby? Alright, so x is less than -6. And the reason it's -6 is because you're multiplying a negative and a positive. How do we know what our graph's gonna look like for this one? What's our graph gonna look like for this one? Bryson, you've done almost all the graphs. Okay.
Open circle and -6.
Why?
There's no on the equal sign.
Okay.
Going to the left.
Alright, so if I plug any number in, it's gonna be less than -6. Okay. Alright, the very last one. It says -7 2/10 plus x is less than or equal to -8 7/10. So what operation, or what do we have to do in order to get x by itself? What do we have to do here?
Turn -7 and add 7 and 2/10. So, gonna add it, but it's positive form to every number except for x.
Okay, so I did that. Do I do the same thing on the other side? So I'm going to do plus it. So this actually means I'm going to subtract. That's still going to be a negative. So x is less than or equal to -1.5. And then what is my graph going to look like? What's my graph going to look like? Addie.
It's gonna be in between -1 and -2.
Okay.
There's a half, and then it's gonna be a closed circle.
Okay.
Because there is a sign that would be the solution. And if the arrow remains
All right. Minus the fact that there was a ton of negative numbers, how do you feel? Like, is it out of this world hard, or is it, I think I get it, but definitely need practice? Okay, perfect. Go ahead, turn in your notebook. And you are gonna wanna, like, I don't know if you wanna slip like a pencil or something in here, but you're probably gonna wanna refer back to your note pages for today. So, like I said, I would just kinda slip maybe a pen in so you know what page to flip back to. And then go to the next blank left page. All right, go ahead and get out your iPads and go to the Canvas page in Math today. I'll get it right, y'all. Hold on. Yeah, it's just one of those days. That's what it means. No? Yeah? Yeah, no? Sure, that'll work. What is this? Yay. Okay, so you're going to click on the solving inequality task cards. You're going to be able to, like write on the task cards if you need to or whatever, but your work is going to be done. Is it not showing up? Oh, it's because I didn't publish the week. That's why. Sorry, y'all. I published the day, just not the week. Alright, now it should show up. So if you pull down on the module side, it should refresh and it should show up. Is it there? Okay. Possibly. it just spinning for you guys, or is it showing up? So at the moment, you should be looking at these questions. And originally, this was gonna be like a scavenger hunt, where you do it around the room, but after looking at the problems, they're not the easiest in the world, so we did wanna go over them together with you guys. Not all of them, but some of them. All right, so I'm going to go back to my notebook so that we can do these together and you can see my notebook rather than seeing the problems. You guys all have the problems in front of you. Now, what I need you to understand though, is this is not going to match this. So you can't be like, Miss Kenny, that doesn't make sense. Because essentially, like I said, you would solve this problem and then you would find the inequality that matches this problem, graph-wise. But we're not looking at that, we're just looking at the actual inequality problems right now. Does that make sense to you guys? So please don't get confused, you guys, Miss Kenny, this answer doesn't match. I know, it's okay. All right, so if you're looking at that first problem, you have 2x plus 4 is greater than 8. So 2x plus 4 is greater than 8. So this is what you're writing in your notebook. You're not doing this on your iPad, you're doing this in your notebook. So how do we go about solving this inequality? Is this a one-step or a two-step? One step or two-step? All right, Lily, you're saying it's a two-step, so what's the first step I need to do?
Do the plus 4, which the opposite operation for addition is subtraction. So it would be subtract 4. And then we subtract 4 from 8.
Okay. All right, so that's step one. Did you want to do step two?
Oh, yeah, okay, so, it is the opposite of the multiplication is division, so you divide by 2, and 4 divided by 2 is 2.
So x is greater than 2. So how do I make sure that this is correct? So if I wanted to check, what would I need to do? Could I plug in 2? Could I plug in 2 and make this statement true? Because if I do 2 times 2 plus 4, that's going to be 8 is greater than 8. Is that a true statement? All right, so someone give me a number that makes this statement true. Bryson? 4? All right, so this is going to be my check over here. And yes, you have to do a check. So I'm going to do 2 times 4 plus 4 is greater than 8. What operation do I do first? What operation do I do first? Sophia? So I'm going to do the 2 times 4 is 8 plus 4. So 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 is greater than 8. So I know that my number will work and it is true. So that is number 1. All right, so let's look at the next one. It's going to be 3b plus 3 1/2 is less than or equal to Alright, so walk me through how I solve this problem. I'm gonna solve this problem. Faith, how are we gonna solve this problem?
You would do the alpha operation for 3 and a half minus 3 and a half, and then like cancel out, and you do 9 and a half minus 3 and a half. And so, and do 3.
What operation is going on between 3b?
Multiplication.
So what's the opposite?
3 divided by 3, if we cancel out, and 3 divided by 6, which is 2. So it would be x is less than or equal to 3b.
Okay, and then if I wanted to check, could I use 2? Can I use the number 2? Yes or no? So give me a thumbs up, yes, thumbs down, no. How do we know? Because it says what? It says equal to. So I'm gonna do 3 times 2 plus 3 and a half is less than or equal to 9 and a half. 3 times 2 is what? What's 3 times 2, Callie? And 6 plus 3 and a half gives me 9 and a half is less than or equal to 9 and a half. Okay? Alright. So far, the first two, how do we feel? Not terrible. Could be worse. It's worse, trust me. Alright, let's go down to the pink one. So the pink set, the one that's 4w minus 5 is less than negative 10 plus 3w. Okay? Then where's your answer? Alright, so again, we're looking at the one that says 4w minus 5 is less than negative 10 plus 3w. Okay, so what do you notice about this one that's a little bit different than the other two that we've done, or the other ones that we've done today? What do you notice about it? Addie? Both sides have variables. So now you're essentially moving variables all to one side and whole numbers or non-variable numbers to the other side. So we can do one of two things. We can, and this is what I would recommend, just to keep things easy. I would recommend moving your 3 to this side, because you end up not dealing with a negative number that way. Or you can move the 4 to this way, but if you do that, you're going to be subtracting and having a negative 1w. So this would be my recommendation. So I'm going to subtract 3w from here, subtract 3w from here. When I do 4 minus 3, that just leaves me with just a variable. What's that invisible number in front of that variable? 1. You can write it if you want to. If you don't need to, you're fine. And then you're going to bring everything else down. And now from here, we should be able to solve this problem very easily, right? Okay, so what do we have to do to get w by itself? What do we have to do? Isabella, what do you think we have to do? If I want to get this w all by itself, am I going to do something with the minus 5 or the minus 10? Okay, so what's the opposite of minus 5? So I'm going to add 5 here, add 5 here. So if I have a negative 10 and I'm adding 5 to it, am I jumping to the right or to the left on the number line? Okay, so I'm gonna draw my number line. Here's my negative 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that gives me a negative 5. So this equals W is less than negative 5. So how do we feel with having a variable on both sides of the inequality? Super hard? Just an extra step? Still just a 2-step problem. Okay? How do we check this? Because this is the hard part. How do we check this? If W is less than negative 5, what do I know about my numbers? Can it include negative 5? Cannot include negative 5, but it has to be smaller than negative 5. So can I do negative 6? Alright, so let's go ahead and we're going to check this. And yes, it is negative numbers, do not flip out on me. So W equals negative 6. So I'm gonna do 4 times negative 6 minus 5 is less than negative 10 plus 3 times negative 6. I know, there's a lot of negatives. We're gonna do it together, do not lose your minds. So starting with just this, don't look at the negative. What's 4 times 6? What is 4 times 6? It's 4 times 6. Ben?
21.
Okay, so this becomes a negative 24 minus 5 is less than, same thing over here. What's 3 times 6? Don't look at the negative. That's 3 times 6. Ariana? So minus 10 plus, so that would actually be minus 18. Alright, so now we have all negative numbers, so that goes back to your number line. If you have negative 24 and you're subtracting 5, are we going to the right or are we going to the left? What are we gonna do? So here's my number line for this side. I have negative 24 minus 5. Am I going to go to the right or am I going to the left? Maya? Am I adding or am I subtracting? So I'm going to go to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Minus 5, so 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So this side becomes negative 29 is less than what is, same thing, negative 10 minus 18. Am I going to the right or to the left? Right or the left? Going to the left, so what's 10 plus 18? 28. So is negative 29 less than negative 28? Which one's closer to 0? 28. So therefore this statement is true. A lot more work with this one. But at the end of the day, it's still, you're plugging it in, doing it correctly. Alright. I'm going to let you venture to complete some on your own with your partners at your tables. Quickly. Please make sure you're showing your work. If you are having trouble with these questions, actually, you're gonna have about 10 minutes to just work together. Ask questions if you need help, if you are struggling or whatever. Go ahead, get started.